but I had not started recording on the laptop. Okay, that's fine. In case of, is that clear with everyone now?
Permission to record.
Yes, I'm recording, and I think Kevin is recording. Is it clear with everyone now? Now let's look in detail now. We want to look at the circulation. Huh? So the heart is called a double circulation system, circulatory system. Why is it called double?
So is it because it's pumping both deoxygenated and oxygenated blood
Not
to parts
really.
of the body?
There's a reason. Yeah, but maybe not the major reason. What's the major reason? Why is it called a double circulation?
I think it's because it pumps blood twice. Yeah.
Because the blood enters the heart twice. Huh?
Yes.
In one what? In
Wait,
one
are you
complete.
writing notes on
In
this?
one complete circulation. Yes, it's called a double circulatory system because the blood enters the what? The blood enters the heart twice in one complete cycle. The blood enters the heart twice in one complete cycle. That's why it's called the double circulatory system. Are we together? That's why we call it the double circulatory system. Is Kuda there? You was mentioning
Yes,
issues with data or something. Oh yeah,
yes, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So almost everyone is almost there except for Yasin. And Laura, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm here, sir.
Lawrence. Lawrence, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're very quiet. You should participate. You shouldn't be shy. Okay, are we together? So you're saying it enters the heart twice, huh? So there are two types of so the double circulation is divided into two. Huh? So we've got what is known as the pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary, we'll start with that. Pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation. So pulmonary circulation is all about, if you want to summarize it in terms of diagram, it's all about from the heart to the lungs. Huh? That's what we are talking about. From the heart to the lungs. Huh? Then back here. That's what we call pulmonary circulation. So what carries blood, deoxygenated blood, from the heart to the lungs is pulmonary artery. Clear? That's the way the pulmonary artery. You can draw a diagram like that. Pulmonary artery, because you can't find that in a textbook. So that's pulmonary artery there to the lungs. Huh? And this is deoxygenated. Then this side is pulmonary vein. Clear? It's carrying oxygenated blood. Carrying oxygenated blood. How would you get that? So quickly draw that diagram there. Ooh, someone is very late.
You don't drop it out, please.
Someone is, I'm not wrapping anything. Someone is very late. Is that the network one? So pulmonary circulation, then we will explain it. We're just using a diagram to simplify it. Then we explain how it works. Yasin failed to connect. Okay. Talking about his network.
I'm here, sir. I didn't fail.
So why are you saying the network? Anyway. Oh yeah, yeah. So I hope you were here when he started.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are talking of the pulmonary circulation. Huh? So now we want to write some notes, huh? So that I'll write in notes what happens. Huh? Yeah, under the pulmonary circulation. Yeah, there. So number one, I want to look at pulmonary circulation. So number one, you can write 1. Clear? The right atrium, that is the correct spelling, atrium, yes, contracts. The right atrium contracts, clear? So when the right atrium contracts, what do you think will happen? Look at your diagram here. Where's the diagram of that? Oh, we lost it. Okay, it's the other page. When the right atrium contracts, just hold on. When this contracts here, what happens? So that you see what happens. I'll explain using the diagram. We said the right atrium contracts, that's number one. So if this contracts, what happens?
Blood flows.
Before the blood flows, what happens to this valve here? The one that you're seeing here?
It opens.
It opens.
Yes.
No,
So
closes.
it opens. Huh? Remember, it has to open.
Why?
When this contracts,
Yeah.
this opens.
But okay.
Yes. So number one, we say the right atrium contracts. Then the tricuspid valve, you can write that the tricuspid valve opens. It opens, clear? It opens.
Yeah.
When it opens, the blood so deoxygenated blood goes into, you can write that deoxygenated blood goes into the right ventricle. Deoxygenated blood goes into the right.
This is number 2.
Yes. Deoxygenated blood goes into the right ventricle. So that you see the order. Deoxygenated blood goes into the right ventricle. Anyone lost? I said number one, the right atrium contracts. Number two, the tricuspid valve opens. Number three, blood goes into the left ventricle. Clear?
But I'm lost. I thought number 2 was deoxygenated blood. What? What was number 2?
Deoxygenated blood goes into
Oh, now I've crossed it out.
No, it's deoxygenated. We're talking of deoxygenated this side. We are talking of deoxygenated blood here. Clear? Make sense?
Deoxygenated blood
goes into the right ventricle. Clear? Right ventricle. What's the other name for this valve here? The tricuspid valve. Who knows the other name?
So you said number 2.
Number 3, I said blood, deoxygenated blood goes into the right right ventricle.
I thought that was number 2.
Exactly.
That's number 2.
Number
Yeah,
1,
you said that was number 2.
the right atrium contracts. Listen, number 1, the right atrium contracts. Number 2, the tricuspid valves open. That's what it said. That's number 2. The tricuspid valves. Tricuspid valves or atrioventricular. Another name is atrioventricular. So you need to know that. In brackets, atrioventricular valve. It's atrioventricular. Atrioventricular valve opens. The atrioventricular valve opens. Clear? That's number 2. Number 3, we said the blood goes into the right ventricle. That's number 3. Huh?
Yes.
Making sense?
Yes, sir.
Number 4, because we want to do. Number 4, what will happen? How will blood go up now to the lungs? What will happen? This valve has to close. Huh? So number 4, the tricuspid valve closes. Closes, clear? Then the next step, I don't know which step number is that the right ventricle contracts. The right ventricle contracts. Clear? The right ventricle contracts.
Wait, number 5
can you
is
please
the right.
repeat?
Where exactly?
Yes.
Number 4.
From number 4.
I said the right ventricle contracts.
For that.
That's number 5.
Before that, I said the valve, tricuspid valve has to close first. This valve has to close.
Right.
We don't want blood to go back.
Yeah, and after that?
After that, the right ventricle contracts. That's where we are. the right ventricle contracts. Clear? Making sense now?
Yes, sir.
Karen, you are following? The right ventricle contracts.
Yes, sir.
Now, when the right ventricle contracts, which valve has to open here? The semi-luminar valve. That valve opens. Clear?
The
Semi-luminar valve open.
Semi
Luminar
semi what?
what?
Can you spell it?
Semi-luminar valve.
Can you spell it?
You guys, you don't do English. Semi-luminar valves.
Okay.
The semi-luminar
Come on,
valve open.
that is-
Clear? So they open there. Then your deoxygenated blood goes where? Goes to the heart. The deoxygenated blood is now transported to the heart via the pulmonary artery. Clear? You can see the pulmonary artery there. Clear? The
Deoxygenated.
blood goes to the lungs via the pulmonary artery. The deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs via the pulmonary artery. Deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs via the pulmonary artery. Making sense? Via the pulmonary artery. Making sense now? Or not
Yes,
yet?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So what happens when we reach the lungs? Who knows what happens when we reach the lungs now? What happens when we reach the lungs? Remember, we're talking of pulmonary artery.
Yeah.
So what happens? There we have got your alveoli. Alveoli here. Yes. I think you have a point.
Oxygen diffuses into the blood via the valve or whatever.
Yes,
However you
I
say
get
that.
your point. But remember, this is a pulmonary artery that is bringing deoxygenated blood. What happens before that exchange that you're talking about? The arteries divide into what? This artery, what does it divide into? Remember, it's thick. So there's no, it divides into what? Into arterioles. Huh?
Yeah.
So the next, yes, it
Okay.
divides into arterioles, then into capillaries. Huh? Because the capillary is the one that is thin, yeah? That is going to allow that.
So number
gaseous
8,
exchange.
number 8 is
The pulmonary, you said the pulmonary artery divides into arterioles, then into capillaries at the surface of the alveoli. Clear? So at the surface of the alveoli, the artery divides into arterioles, then into capillaries, which are very thin, 1 centimeter thicker, which are very thin. Clear? At the alveoli there. Clear? Making sense now? Then the next thing is that gaseous exchange takes place. Remember, because they've got carbon dioxide, so there's an exchange of oxygen and what? And carbon dioxide. So it means carbon dioxide diffuses out at the alveoli, then oxygen diffuses into the capillaries. Clear?
So can you please repeat that?
You're saying you're saying your capillaries, you're saying carbon dioxide diffuses out, then oxygen diffuses in. It's gaseous exchange. That's what you're talking about. Your carbon dioxide diffuses out. When you talk of deoxygenated blood, it is called carbon dioxide. So it diffuses out, then oxygen diffuses into the capillaries. Clear? So it's now, that's your oxygenated blood. Making sense?
Yes.
At the alveoli there. Then what happens to these capillaries here? What will happen to these capillaries? They join up to form what? They join up to form?
Tissues.
Tissues.
Not really tissues. Yes, tissues, correct. But what's the correct word here? We need venues. That's the correct English. They join to this, because they have to join again to veins, because we want it. So from this now, that's where we have your pulmonary vein. So they join into this. Remember, your oxygen diffuses to this oxygenated blood, then to the pulmonary vein. Because the pulmonary vein now is the one that you will take the oxygenated blood back to the right side of the heart. Clear? Clear? So they divide, they join up to venous, then they join to pulmonary vein. Then the pulmonary vein takes the oxygenated blood to the right side of the heart. We are done. Because we are talking of pulmonary circulation. We're not talking about, it's only between the heart and the lungs. That's your pulmonary circulation, between the heart and the lungs. Making sense now? Making sense, making sense. Now, let's talk of systemic circulation. So we are done with pulmonary circulation. That's all you need to know. Systemic circulation. Of course, we'll talk about this. So size two. Now, systemic circulation. Systemic circulation. Systemic system. Systemic circulation. Let's draw it here. Systemic. So it's between the heart and the body. You can draw something like the heart and the body. So from the heart, it's mainly what's the main artery? What's the main artery? That comes straight from the heart. We should divide into all other arteries. What do you call that? Special name? Aorta. Clear. So it's the aorta that will divide to other arteries there. Clear? So this one will divide to many arteries. Clear? Going to this. Then from this here, we
I
have
can't read your
the
handwriting, Mr. K.
vena cava. You can't read my writing. Vena cava.
What did you write next to heart?
Vena cava. The vein.
No, on the other
the
side.
main vein.
Aorta.
The main artery. What's the
Aorta.
main artery called?
Aorta. Is
Okay.
the main artery. But I'm saying this diagram, of course, is not very true because this divides into different arteries. Clear? Just like you before your vena cava, this is the main one that will bring, but before that we've got many other veins. Is that clear? We'll talk about the names of the other arteries. Are we together? Systemic circulation.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's look in
Yeah.
detail now for the last 2 minutes, the stages of systemic circulation. What will happen? So maybe let's go back to the heart then from the diagram. So systemic circulation. Now the blood, so it means the oxygenated blood is there now. Remember, it is from the pulmonary vein is now there. So we want to see what will happen for blood to be what? To be pumped. Clear. So what will happen? You can write number 1. The right atrium contracts. The left atrium. Oh, let's got no wrong. The left atrium contracts. Clear. The left atrium contracts. The valve open. This valve here opens. The mitral valve opens. Clear. Then blood is pushed into
The what valve
left.
opens?
The mitral valve or the left atrioventricular valve. Now this
The
opens.
mitral valve opens.
Yes, it opens. Then blood is pumped to the
Is
left.
that number 2?
Yes. Blood, or number 3, blood is pumped to the left
What?
ventricle.
So what's number 2?
The order doesn't really matter. Blood
okay.
is pumped to the left ventricle. Clear? Blood is pumped to the left ventricle. Now the next point is that the valve closes. This mitral valve closes. The left ventricle contracts.
Which valve?
This valve here, it has to close. Once it pushes blood into the left ventricle, it has to close because we don't want blood to go back. So it closes. Then the left ventricle contracts. Left ventricle contracts. Clear?
Left.
Left ventricle contracts. Left ventricle contracts. Left ventricle, blood wants to go there.
Okay.
Left ventricle contracts. Then the valve opens. See, this valve opens. Clear?
What's the valve called?
The valve opens. What's the name of that valve?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
What do you think? You guys are quiet. What's the name of the valve? It's also a semi-luminal valve. Huh? Opens.
Semi.
Yeah. I said the semi-luminal valve opens, and the blood is pumped to the aorta. Oxygenated blood is pumped to the aorta. Oxygenated blood is pumped to the aorta. Quickly, we have some. I'll tell you what you need to read before the next paralysis. So then, oxygenated blood is pumped to the aorta, which is the main artery in brackets. The main artery. Clear? The aorta now divides into many other arteries. Aorta divides into many other arteries. For example, the renal artery takes, where does this go? To the kidneys, huh? I'm sure you know this. So there are different arteries. Huh? You can go and research on that. So it now divides into many. The renal, the aorta divides into many arteries, which takes oxygenated blood to different organs of the body. Which takes, some goes to the blood, to the tissues, to the body, to the muscles. So it now takes oxygenated blood.
Which takes?
Which takes oxygenated blood to different organs of the body.
So, sorry, you said the aorta divides into
Many other arteries, which takes oxygenated blood to different sections of the body or to different organs. That clear? Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next point. Once the blood reaches the targeted organs, once the oxygenated blood reaches the targeted organs, it diffuses into capillaries. Diffuses into capillaries. And the body tissues use up the oxygen for respiration. It diffuses into capillaries. And the body
targeted organs, wait.
Many targeted organs, any, even your muscles, every muscle needs,
organs.
Yes, reaches the targeted organs. We said the blood diffuses into the capillaries. That's what we said. It diffuses into, maybe you didn't get that point, into the capillaries. Clear? That's what we said. And we said the oxygen is now used up by respiration, by different body tissues. The oxygen is now used up by respiration. Clear? And once respiration takes place, what happens? Carbon dioxide is produced. Huh? Respiration takes place, carbon dioxide is produced. The carbon dioxide combines with hemoglobin to form deoxygenated blood. Clear?
Sorry, carbon dioxide what?
Is produced, which combines with hemoglobin to form deoxygenated blood. Which combines with hemoglobin to form deoxygenated blood. And the deoxygenated blood diffuses from the capillaries to the veins. To the veins, which will take it to the right side of the heart. Clear?
What was the last statement?
Where exactly?
After is carbon dioxide is combined with hemoglobin to form deoxygenated blood.
Which diffuse from the capillaries to the veins, which diffuse out of the capillaries to the veins. And the veins take the deoxygenated blood to the right side of the heart. To start again, it's a complete cycle now. To start again, clear? Clear or not clear? Clear?
Kind of clear, sir.
Not
So
clear.
you said that the capillaries
Yes.
take the deoxygenated blood to the veins.
The veins which take the deoxygenated blood to the heart, back to the heart, to the right side of that. Then the whole thing starts again. Complete. So complete double is systemic plus pulmonary circulation. Anyway, to make things clear, because now we are in the other lesson, we've taken 6 minutes out of the other lesson. It's okay. Now, it's not okay. So your homework, everyone there, you have the book called BioNotes, huh? The one that I gave you. It's excellent,
Yes,
excellent on this topic.
Yes, sir.
So what I want you write down this. I want you to write notes. Sometimes I'll ask you to show me the notes. I want you to write notes on that book there. So you go under transport in humans, which is page 77. Huh? Page 77, transport in humans. Clear? So you used to read from page 77. Page 77 to page page what? Give you I'll be lenient. So page 77 to page 95. You are reading, Karen, you are writing that down. Page 77 to 95. In terms of writing the notes, because everything else, I want you to write, especially dice.
Wait, read which pages, sorry?
77 to 95 on the transport in humans. Page 77 to 95. Then you write notes. You write notes from Odin. You write notes from, okay, you write notes from page 86. You write notes from where it says the heart weight starter. You write notes from page 86 to page 95. Page 86 to page 95. Huh? Clear,
Yes, sir.
especially on the mechanism of the heart. Because there's two mechanisms, the diastole and systole. Next time I'll be asking you questions. I'll be firing you with questions the next bio lessons. So make sure you are well prepared for the next lesson. Huh? Yeah, I know. It's time for the other lesson. What do you say? You're saying you don't have the textbook?
Yeah, I don't think so.
The bionos? Can you say? Yes. It's written all level bionos. You have it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I gave you the essential and the O-level bionos. I'm talking of the O-level bionos, everyone. I'm not talking of the essential. So just to be clear with everyone, the pages that I said, we are using the O-level bionos because it's the best when it comes to this topic. Clear? You don't need anything else there. And the notes are very nice. Okay. So see you. What's the next lesson?
Chemistry, sir.
Chemistry.
Are you sure? Didn't we have an hour of chemistry? Okay.